All right, to break things down, we have our NFL analyst and former GM Rick Spielman joining me here on CBS Sports HQ. A couple things that we learned this morning. Practice and joint practice has been canceled, non-COVID illness for Miami and Philly. But you have been at Miami practices over the last 2 weeks, Rick. What have you learned about this Dolphins team?
Yeah, Dolphins are a very interesting team. I think Chris Greer did a phenomenal job. I got an opportunity to speak with him yesterday about putting a lot of pieces in place on that offensive side of the ball to give Tua the best opportunity to have success this year. They're going to have a great defense. They played good defense last year. They kept their defensive coordinator, which was critical when I talked to Chris yesterday about when they brought in a new head coach, they wanted to keep the continuity on that side of the ball. But on the offensive side, they look much faster than they did the year ago. You got Waddle, although he didn't practice yesterday, who set the rookie receiving record, I think, with 104 receptions last year. You added Tyreek Hill, and watching him, he just plays at a different speed than everybody else when you're watching him out there in practice. I think the biggest concern, couple things that I have on Miami coming out, was the offensive line. Mike McDaniel loves to run the ball, and they haven't been able to run the ball successfully yet during the preseason. Now they say it's just because of the game planning side. Armstead did practice yesterday. He did not practice last week when I was out there watching the Dolphins. And then Gesicki, how's he going to fit in this offense? He's not a run blocker. That's an important part of this offense to establish a run game and what Mike McDaniel is used to. But it was a fourth down play yesterday, and they went for it, and Tua hit Gesicki, and he made like an unbelievable one-hand grab to convert the fourth down and keep the drive alive. So there are some questions, but I think this is going to be a very good football team, and it does put a lot of pressure on Tua this year because of all the pieces around him.
Pressure on Jalen Hurts on the other side as well. And a lot of the things you said about Miami trying to help Tua and having that defense, you could say the same thing about Philly as well. But if I were to ask you who's right now set up in a better situation to thrive between the third-year guys, Tua or Jalen, where would you land there?
I think they're two teams that are mirror images of each other, and that's why it was so interesting to go out there and watch practice yesterday. And Philly has a great defense. They will play very sound. They added pieces at all levels of that defense. Hassan Reddick, they went out and drafted two big-time players out of Georgia, and Jordan Davis and Kobe Dean. And then they added Bradbury to go opposite of Slay. So they've got that defense. They added playmakers on the offensive side, talking to Howie yesterday and how he pulled off that A.J. Brown trade on draft night, which was a rare occasion to do, to give away a first-round pick for a veteran and a big-time player like that, and then get a contract done after that. So they are probably a little bit set up better because their offensive line is a little bit better for Hurst. But watching those two back-to-back, Hurst may have a little stronger arm, but Tua has a little bit more of a point guard type mentality where all he has to do is, and what they're doing with their offense right now is dishing the ball, getting it out to the playmakers, and let the playmakers go. And you look at why both of them are under this microscope this year. They're both going into the third year. Usually in NFL terms, a young quarterback in the third year is going to determine whether he's going to be your franchise guy or not. The other thing, and I asked Howie this, how important it is for Hurst to have, because he has 2 first-round draft picks next year. And I think from what I've seen so far, it's going to be a very strong draft class in next year's quarterback class. So both of them have a lot of pressure, not only to perform because of what they were able to accomplish this offseason and upgrading their personnel, but they got a pretty strong draft class coming right behind them.
All right, so again, taking a look at both Miami and Philly, similar situations, quarterbacks that need to prove it, so we'll keep our eyes out on that as well. Let's go to the West Coast and out in Santa Clara, where early on with Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, they declared that Trey Lance is going to be their guy. First year as the Niners starter, of course, Jimmy Garoppolo did get them through the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts and expectations, because Trey Lance is going to also have a lot of pressure on him out in Niner Empire?
Yeah, Trey Lance is interesting, and I've talked to some people around the league that have been actually watching him practice, and there's no question about his athletic ability. There's no question about his arm strength. The question that I personally had is, he can throw the deep ball, but how accurate is that deep ball throw? Now, in the first preseason game against Green Bay, he hit one down the sideline and hit it in rhythm, but a lot of times his deep ball accuracy may be a concern. But San Francisco didn't throw a lot of deep balls with Garoppolo either. They did a lot of running, play action, dishing the ball out, similar to what I saw yesterday with Mike McDaniel in that offense. But I think the reason they drafted Trey Lance because of his big arm. Now the question will be on him is, can he become more accurate as a deep ball and deep shot thrower in the NFL?
A lot of expectations even within the team. The Bosa brothers saying, I think he's in the best position he could be as a first-year quarterback with a defense like us, a good O-line and a bunch of weapons. Nick adding, I think if he doesn't make big mistakes, we're going to be in good shape. And let's finally talk about Jameis Winston and the Saints. He's been injured, Rick, of course. He wants to play in the preseason finale to get some reps, and he suffered, again, that foot injury in training camp, already recovering from a surgically repaired knee. I'm going to get your thoughts in just a second, but here's Jameis.
Yeah, every day I'm really visualizing how I can make the best of this day. And last year, even though it was an improvement, I can't wait to step back on the field and compete some more. Because one thing I know, that I would not take this opportunity for granted ever again. And I'm just grateful to have that chance to go out there and stress some people, throw some touchdowns, win some football games, and keep y'all smiling, keep everybody smiling. I love good days, right? And if I have a bad day, right, get better from that and continue to be resilient and persevere. Nothing is going to kind of hurt me, or nothing is going to deter me from my thinking, because I'm an optimistic guy. I love challenges. I just love winning way more.
Rick, you heard from Jameis saying all the right things, and if you're Mickey Loomis, how are you handling Jameis? Because there's a lot of expectations that they want to challenge Tampa Bay in the division this year.
Yeah, I think you have to look at this, and it's a pretty unique situation. Last year, he was 5-2 as a starter, playing very well for the New Orleans Saints. Then at the end of October, he tore his ACL and was done for the rest of the year. So he only played 7 games last year. The year before, he was a backup to Drew Brees and had 4 guest appearances, as you might say. I think he had 11 pass attempts. And then the last time he's played 16 full games was back in 2019 in Tampa. So if you're sitting in the front office and you're talking with your head coach, we're watching him in practice. He goes out in practice, and this year earlier injures his foot. So he misses time with a foot injury, and now he's back getting ready for the season. So the question is, do you play this guy that hasn't been really on the field since 2021 and only played 7 games and hasn't had a lot of history in 2020? Does putting him out on that field in the preseason in this last game give him the confidence that, yeah, my knee is okay and it's ready to go, before you actually put him out there in the first regular season game and there's no turning back then? The other thing that was interesting is when I listened to his press conference, he said, I'm getting better every day. And he said, and talking about yesterday, today I moved around a little bit better. To me, that was a red flag. It should have been said, hey, I'm ready to go. I moved around great. I feel normal. Then I would have less hesitation to probably play him in this last preseason game than I would when I heard what he said yesterday. But they're going to have to measure that off what they're seeing in practice. But I do think he needs to get out there to get some confidence on that knee.
All right, getting ready, of course, the last preseason game. The Saints do open up the season in Atlanta, September 11th. Rick, certainly appreciate it. Also, of course, the Pick Six podcast, our daily NFL podcast hosted by Will Brinson. Who has the best home field advantage in the NFL gambling-wise, and other NFL features that you should play with CBS Sports Line's RJ White. It is Brinson and White in the latest pod.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.